Announcing who you are to the world is pretty terrifying, because what if the world doesn't like you? Sometimes I think I'm destined to care so much about one person, it nearly kills me. I'm done living in a world where I don't get to be who I am. I deserve a great love story, and I want someone to share it with. These are all quotes from my new favorite movie, Love, Simon. Yeah, I know it's a super corny and basically just another teenage rom-com. But let me tell you, the idea that the focus of a romantic comedy is a gay teenager who is searching for love, well, adult Preston thought it was pretty heartwarming. But teenage Preston would have found it, well, truth be told, teenage Preston never would have seen it in the movie theater. I was always haunted by the idea that some people might find out who I was and not like it. And while this isn't a sermon about being gay, this is a reflection on coming out. Coming out in the sense of revealing a part of yourself to those you love. More fully expressing an identity, and then doing the work to renegotiate your relationship to the world and those around you, for better or for worse, in light of that new revelation. There are thousands of ways to come out. Whether it's coming out as gay in a straight community, or coming out as one who is called to ministry in a secular community, or simply having the courage to be the first to say, I love you. Coming out as one in love, you might say. It is about having the audacity to be vulnerable and the countercultural courage to choose truth over comfort. And coming out is uncomfortable because our sinful nature is to resist change and project all our fears and discomforts on the person or persons bursting the secure bubbles of reality that never existed. But they've chosen to cling to them anyway. And so it is in the gospel reading today that Jesus comes out to his disciples. In fact, this is one in a series of Jesus coming out in Luke. Coming out through the announcement of angels at the tomb. Coming out through the breaking of the bread on the road to Emmaus. And here, coming out with a word of peace and the display of wounded hands and feet. And predictably, the people are a little overwhelmed. And Jesus, kind of comically, seems completely taken aback by their freaking out. Wait, why are you frightened? Why does doubt arise in your hearts? I mean, come on, I said peace be with you. Look at my hands and feet. It's me. It's your old pal, Jesus. It's me, just a different me. Now, to be fair, I deeply sympathize with the disciples here, as I too would have not reacted calmly to a once dead loved one revealing themselves to me, no matter how many times they bestowed wishes of peace upon me. But what caught my attention in this reading was this whole fear that Jesus was a ghost, and Jesus' efforts, up and including eating some fish, to prove he is not a ghost, but flesh and blood. While I'm not an expert on mythology and understanding of ghosts in the period of 1st century Palestine, I do have some guesses why he might have gone through all the trouble. You see, a ghost is a remnant of something that was, a forever unchanging reflection of the frailty of humanity, a being with only a past and no future. A ghost, by its very nature, is dead, rooted in death. But my dear friends, Christ is here coming out as one who is alive, whose very nature is life, as one who is, was, and ever shall be, as one who shares in the frailty of humanity, but also gathers all to God's self and makes all things new. And of course, this is good news. But it's also earth-shattering, bubble-busting, renegotiate all that you ever thought was possible news. And I love that Jesus seems to acknowledge the disciples need to adjust. Even in their joy, it says, they were disbelieving and wondering. But Jesus stuck with them, teaching and opening their minds, walking them through the scriptures to show that while God is revealing God's self more fully, it is the same God that has been with God's people all along. The scriptures aren't changed, just more fulfilled. Because it wasn't just about Jesus' revelation about his own resurrected identity, but about God's coming out to the cosmos as more loving and grace-filled than ever imagined. Of course this left them joyful, disbelieving, and wondering. It is all so different from the world they knew. They had grown to expect death and received life. They feared a ghost, and they got resurrection. The spirit of empire reigned, but God has come out to establish a new kingdom. The banshee of greed drowned out the cries of the poor, but God had come out as a table-flipping peasant from Galilee. Pax Romana taught a specter of militism that promoted a phantasm of security through violence. But God came out as a pacifist community organizer. In a society where the poltergeist of privilege and patriarchy governs, God comes out as a leper-loving, sex worker befriending mother hen that gathers her children under her wings and would die before she let any old fox hurt her babies. In a world where anxiety about skeletons in their closet or all the ways they are broken seem unsurmountable, God comes out as one who forgives and restores. And well, that's a lot to wrap your head around. But it is the faith we proclaim, and it is the Christ to whom we bear witness. And perhaps I should stop there, but I feel the need to return to the vulnerability of coming out that I spoke of earlier. Because in the powerful surprise of the resurrection, we can't lose the beautiful tenderness of the love Christ portrays here. Earlier, I spoke of how simply saying, "I love you" first is an act of coming out. A coming out that perhaps crosses all our human experience. That moment when you bare your soul with no promise of reciprocity. But it doesn't matter because it isn't so much about being loved in return as almost bursting forth, needing the other to know how you feel, who you are. And with all the glorious and fantastic promises that go with resurrection, at its most basic, this is Jesus showing you his wounds, saying, "This is me. It's always been me. I love you. Just witness to it." You can almost hear Jesus saying, announcing who you are to the world is pretty terrifying, because what if the world doesn't like you? Sometimes I think I'm destined to care so much about one person, it nearly kills me. I'm done living in a world where I don't get to be who I am. I deserve a great love story, and I want someone to share it with.